Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to another episode of Garage Talk Sports. I'm Mills.
I'm Bobby.
And I'm Nick.
And we're back again, episode number 20 for all of you loyal followers. We appreciate it. This episode's going to be a lot. The sports world's going crazy right now. It's been a hectic last week and a half, especially since our last episode. So we're going to start with some Olympics talk. You know, we're kind of in the full swing now of the Summer Olympics. The big events, the big names have been kind of on the stage now, so we've seen a lot going on there. MLB trade deadline is this Friday. What is that? The 3rd? July 30th?
Yep.
July 30th, so that's this Friday. A lot of moves are being made, more to come. Honestly, we might even get some blockbuster trades while we're doing the podcast tonight. So we're going to have our alert. We're going to have our notifications on. Yeah, so we'll keep that going as well. If there's anything big that happens, we'll talk about it while it goes on. Another thing, Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, possibly the last dance. I don't know if you guys saw their Instagram post.
I don't think they'll be coming back, to be honest.
We'll see. I'll dive into my last dance reference there. I'm sure some of you know what I'm talking about. Another thing, college athletics. The Big 12 is blowing up. SEC. Like I said, guys,
SEC is blowing up in the complete opposite way.
A lot of stuff has gone on. And then, we're going to talk a little bit about the Blackhawks. We don't talk hockey very much, but the Blackhawks have been very aggressive this offseason. So we kind of want to cover that. As Chicago natives, we have to talk about
I mean, it actually is exciting to see.
Yeah, it's some good stuff. Yeah. Possibly bad, though. Like I said, stay tuned and you'll see what I'm talking about there. But we'll kick it off with the Olympics. So some updates right now. Team USA, we've had some pretty exciting stuff. Some disappointing things happen. A lot of firsts for Team USA. For example, Lee Kiefer, she won the women's individual foil, which is fencing. First time in American.
Say fencing, but I had to say foil. It throws me off.
Listen, man,
it's like table tennis. I know what that is.
You should have seen the look on my face when they said foil. I was like aluminum?
Like they're rolling up with aluminum balls and throwing at each other.
Yeah, I was like, yo, what? But yeah, so it's apparently it's officially called foil. I don't know if that's the terms.
That's the saber that they use. It's called the foil.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
I knew that. I don't know why I know that.
That makes more sense now.
Sorry, Nick. I didn't know you were a fencing
connoisseur.
That
makes sense of that now. Because at first I was just like, what?
I wasn't a runner. I'd be a fencer.
I was like, where is this foil thing coming from? Either way, she was the first ever American to win gold in that event. And I believe she was the first American athlete to get a medal in the Olympics. That second part, I'm not entirely sure on. I think
for like 2021.
For 2021, She was the first American to medal in the Olympics for this year's Olympics. I could be wrong on that.
I do want to shout out. I don't know what her name is. The triathlete from Bermuda. She was the first woman to ever win a medal for her country as a woman.
Good for her.
And then first gold medal for the country ever. She won the triathlon. And I was thinking, I'm like, okay, that's a normal thing, but I'm like, to have you be the first woman to win a medal and the first person to win a gold medal for your entire country. Yeah, I know Bermuda's apparently 5 times smaller than Tucson, Arizona, population-wise. So
wow.
Throw it into perspective.
Dude, Nick did his research on this.
I was watching the triathlon yesterday. They were talking about it.
Okay.
I mean,
there's only so many things you can talk about when people are biking, swimming, and running.
Fair enough.
That's a triathlon. So she has to be good in 3 areas.
Yeah. Speaking of biking, what was it? This was the biggest upset in Olympic history. Happened.
Neil Armstrong?
No,
that's the only thing I know about it.
Neil Armstrong, the guy who went to the moon. Lance Armstrong, biker.
I was wrong, man. I was wrong.
Anyways, no. So, man, I'm gonna mess up the country. So I believe a biker from Sweden, a woman's biker. She won the Olympic event. I'm gonna butcher this so badly. If someone wants to fact check me, please do. But she won gold, and the girl from Denmark lost. And this was the first time. This was the biggest upset ever. I guess Denmark has dominated.
Denmark or Netherlands? Because I think it
Netherlands. It might have been Netherlands.
I think they were talking about.
Okay, it might have been Netherlands. I apologize. This is something I'm just throwing in there off the top of my head. This was the first time the Netherlands has lost this event in
years.
I don't know how long.
It'd be considered the USA men's basketball losing.
No, this was considered a bigger upset than that.
Even that? Wow.
Yeah. So this was a huge deal. So tons of firsts in the Olympics. Speaking of U.S. men's basketball,
I didn't mean to segue to that. I was just trying to come to
no, it's perfect.
It
worked perfectly. U.S. men's basketball has suffered their first loss since 2004 when they lost to Argentina. Shout out Manu Ginobili. And you know what? Dude, whatever, man. U.S. basketball.
All I want to say is I called it.
You
They
did.
stink.
They can't figure. I don't know. They can't figure it out. Very frustrating. Though.
I don't want to blame Greg Popovich because
I'm blaming him.
I think he's
I'm
an
gonna blame the hell
amazing
out of him.
NBA coach, but I think that they just realized that college coaches are more prepared to coach the Olympics. For the simple fact is, almost every year, if you're at a top school like Krzyzewski was at Duke, you're getting almost a new starting five every year. Where Popovich has had, he knows his 5 starters way ahead of time.
Yeah.
And when you're throwing in those new players, he has no idea what to do.
Right.
And if you learned anything from Miracle, obviously it's a college coach that's going to win you a medal.
That's true. That's true.
Exactly.
And amateurs.
Yep.
I'm just saying, like, Devin Booker and Drew Holiday both played decent amount of minutes in that game, and they
Kevin
lost.
Durant was a non-factor.
I'm like, for a guy, like, I understand the whole fact that they're NBA players and superstars. Every single player on Team USA is one of the best players that you can possibly get on the team. But you still have to learn how to play with each other, especially basketball. It's a huge chemistry sport.
Yeah, it's a big chemistry sport. This is like the mistake that I think Team USA has made, and whoever selected the team or whatever, is they were just like, let's just put all these names, let's just take these big stars and put them together, and they will work. Clearly, at this point now, they lost 2 or 3 exhibition games. They lost to France, which, let's be fair, France was the number 4 ranked team coming into the Olympics. They do have Rudy Gobert.
He scored the most.
They have Nick Batum, Rudy Gobert, that dude. Still shouldn't be losing in the
Olympics. But still, they're ranked number 1 going into this. Kevin
Durant, Drew Holiday, Devin Booker, Zach LaVine, Damian Lillard. We're talking about they've got twice the talent on this roster than the next best team.
You should be mopping the floor with these amateurs.
Here's what the problem is. They're not physical enough.
No,
they play in a soft ass league. The NBA, say what you want, flashy, cool, all that good stuff. It's soft as hell. These guys are babies.
So many. The simple fact of a pump fake 3 and then you try to draw contact doesn't get called in international basketball. It doesn't work. Where it's like I look at guys like Luka Doncic, who comes and just dominates the NBA. Because not saying that the NBA is a lower skill level to get into, I think it's competes.
It's more ticky-tacky.
But when Luka Doncic can go through contact and score, when he comes to the NBA and doesn't really have to go through contact and score, I feel like not taking anything away from Luka Doncic. He's an amazing player. Wherever he's going to play, he's going to be great. But I feel like it's easier for him to score here than it was when he was playing in Europe. He was also younger.
The NBA right now, it's kind of I view it similarly to the passing game in the NFL. Now it's about drawing the foul. Can you get the call? Right?
Yeah,
can you get the ref to blow the whistle and either give you the free throws or you inbound it, reset the play clock a little bit, do whatever. It's about getting the call and less about finishing the play. So these guys don't finish they still finish strong in case. I'm not calling them weak, but you know what I mean. They don't finish as strong as they may have done in the past. They don't finish as strong.
The players aren't weak. But the league
is made it that way. They're not weak players, but they've been almost conditioned to look for the foul rather than finishing the shot, and it's not working because you're seeing defenses way more aggressive. The refs are allowing what would be called a reach in the NBA is not getting called in international play, and you can see the players are scrambling. Like the defense is tighter and way more physical than they're used to.
But in the NBA, obviously it's understandable. You're paying these people so much money that obviously it's going to be softer than any international sport because you're not really paying them much. So you gotta protect your investments. So they just need to figure it out.
No, and I get what you're saying there, but this is just going to be a side little tangent here. I think this is pretty evident of the difference between 90s basketball and today's basketball.
100%.
Like when people say, "Oh, guys wouldn't survive the league in the 90s," I don't think it's saying those guys are weak. It's saying that they have not played a game where they've had to finish as strong and play as aggressive.
Yeah.
So it's not that they're not capable of playing in the 90s. It's that they have been conditioned through their entire basketball careers for a soft rule book.
Well, I always look at Shaq has always said it on NBA Tonight and different games about how he would in today's league he would drop 50 no problem. That's because as soon as he gets the ball in the paint, he would be able to spin and turn and have a wide he'd be able to score 50, and him saying that is true.
It's not as physical.
Back then, guards were able to pull their whole weight at you and try to knock you off the ball, which is what they did.
Put you on your ass. Like it's a different league. So
you don't got the Dennis Rodmans.
And so I think that's something that
you don't have those anymore.
And that's something that needs to be addressed, because whenever you hear the conversation, and we're going to go into this real briefly and then we'll get right back onto Olympics. But when you hear the conversation of LeBron versus Michael Jordan, well, LeBron's too soft. He wouldn't be able to last in the 90s. We're not saying LeBron is weak. We're saying that the basketball LeBron played is not what it was in the 90s, where it's not as physical.
No, I don't think he lasts as long as he did. I think LeBron can survive.
He's physically capable of doing it. He's got all the talent in the world. Well, he's 38. What is he, 37 now, something like that?
37.
In his prime, LeBron could hang in the 90s. What I'm saying is, because of the way he's been taught to play basketball, if you were to take him through his career and just take his play style, boom, drop it in the 90s. He's a flop. Let's be real. He flops.
Yes.
A lot of stars flop. Yeah. And you know what? That's the rules kind of write it that way. So it's not necessarily a fault of their own, but flopping didn't work back in the 90s. No. It didn't work in the 80s.
You would fall on the ground and they'd come pick up the ball and just wide open breakaway.
And I just want to add in there, not as good of an actor as Michael Jordan was. Space Jam, the original, way better.
Oh, Space Jam's projected to lose like over $100 million.
I know, dude, it's awful.
Not seen it yet. I'm waiting for my brother so we can watch it. But yeah, I agree with that.
All I know is they made Lola Bunny not look as attractive.
Yeah, like what is this, man?
What are we doing here? All right,
we all have to admit, when we were kids, when that movie came out,
like 6-year-old Andrew
was like
damn, Lola Bunny's pretty hot. And now over here, like, she looks like a dude.
Yeah, it's like, what are you doing?
What are you doing? I'm over here for the nostalgia, and I have to go. Anyway, so moving on, some more USA firsts in the Olympics. Lydia Jacoby, she won the 100-meter breaststroke. She is the first ever Alaskan-born athlete to medal in the Olympics. Obviously, the first ever to win gold.
Summer, or is that summer and winter?
I'm going to say summer.
Okay, because when I saw you,
Alaska has to put some winter athletes.
Yeah, because I mean, it's like a tundra out there.
If someone wants to fact check me on that, go for it. My point though is I don't even think she was expected to medal. Nick, you said you watched.
I watched the actual race. So
give us Nick Heidinger's perspective as he watches on his couch at what had to be like 11 p.m. at night.
I don't think it was that late.
I was in bed.
I was in bed.
My whole thing is, so like you see like a lot of USA athletes in a lot of the sports that they go into, where it's like they at least get mentioned when they talk about. She got mentioned for she was being 17 and from Alaska, and like that was it. Like it wasn't a lot of like.
Here's her career.
It wasn't like here's Michael Phelps.
Well,
like,
she's 17.
Michael Phelps is going to win.
17th and in the Olympics. What are we doing with our lives, guys?
We're in a garage sweating our balls off.
Exactly.
Talking about her.
So it was like Michael Phelps was on the podium or not podium, like on the starting block, and they're like, all right, Michael Phelps is going to dominate this race. Like here's how good he is, all that stuff.
What lane was she in? Do you remember?
I think she was in 3.
Ooh, so okay, so she was probably seated in like top 5 of that race. Then
they always said like she had a good second half of the
medaling.
Race because like a lot of like she gets a little nervous at the start of a race, which obviously you're 17 competing at the highest stage that you could possibly compete at.
I'd be pooping.
That's good. But second half of the race, she dominates, and after she finishes, she wins. She's surprised she won. Then the not the announcers, but like the people who are just talking, on the American broadcast, are saying her pool is 25 feet or 25 yards. It's not even in meters. It's not what you swim in the Olympics. Like, she didn't even have access to a pool big enough to swim Olympically. So that's why they were thinking like, oh, it's going to be weird. You're going to a new place that's like not the same. You're like running. If you're a runner, it's like running on like a 300-meter track, and all of a sudden go to the Olympics and be in a 400-meter track. Like,
that is a big difference.
So it's like, it's not the fact like she didn't have the skill to do it, but it was just like everyone in the room was like, she is going to be good in 2024. Like, she's going to,
this is her learning experience.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden she just wins, and it's just like
impressive,
insane.
Man. Yeah.
17-year-old from Alaska. In a summer Olympic sport, they get summer for maybe.
No, I mean that is awesome.
Yeah,
I wish I could do something that cool at 17. What did I do when I was 17 years old, other than not my homework in high school? Like, let's be honest.
Played video games. That's probably about it.
Yeah, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. When you were 17.
Yeah, pretty much.
Drink Mountain Dew, eat Doritos.
Yeah, right. I sure as heck didn't win the Olympics. Whatever.
My whole thing
good
is
for her. Though.
Yeah, good for her. Man.
No, I'm just ashamed.
So much things can happen because
I'm a failure.
You know, she won her race, and then you look at a girl like Katie Ledecky, who's been like, you know, poised to like she's gonna
at the
win.
top of the game. Katie Ledecky. Let's talk about Katie Ledecky a little bit.
I know, another swimmer. Figured this is good.
Another swimmer for those who don't follow the Olympic Games all that much. So Katie Ledecky is a U.S.-born swimmer. She's 24 years old. This is, I believe, her third Olympic Games, and for the first time in her Olympic career, she lost a race. She lost the 400-meter freestyle to, I don't know how to pronounce the first name. I think it's like Ariane. I'm butchering it. Her last name, what?
I think Ariane.
Something like that. Titmus from Australia. This was the huge story of the race, though, because apparently this Australian-born swimmer has been chasing Ledecky for the last several years, both in the Olympics and just like international swimming competitions and whatnot. No. And she's been like that close every single year. And this was finally, she caught Ledecky in like the last 50 meters of the race. So the last lap of the race, she took the lead and just held on and beat Ledecky by a couple tenths of a second. And it's the first time Ledecky has ever lost in the Olympics. And this is also Ledecky's final Olympic Games, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I know. I feel like there's never like a debt. Like she might want to come back.
She might come back. There is a difference, though, with like female athletes versus male athletes. Like this is Katie, for the female athlete, like biologically their physical prime is up until about like 25. Yeah. So she would be 28 in the next Olympic Games, which would put her at the way older side of the spectrum. Whereas men, their physical primes are like mid to late 20s. So this is most likely her final Olympics.
Let's also look at your 17-year-old from Lad. Not saying she's going to be better than Katie Ledecky.
No, but that was also breaststroke.
She's already 17, so like if she's doing that, there's probably other girls who are maybe like 18, 19, 20 who are poised to try to take over Ledecky if she does stumble a little bit. I'm not saying that she will, but it's just like
I feel Ledecky has had an incredible career. You know, she's going to be regarded as one of the best, if not the best. But female swimmer.
That's a bitter end to her career.
Well, no, because she still has 2 more races.
Okay.
She still has She has the 200-meter freestyle and 1500-meter freestyle. I don't know if she has is there an 800 in the Olympics?
I don't think we're swimming. I think it's 100.
So I know for certain she has a 200-meter freestyle and 1500-meter freestyle. The 1500-meter, I'm pretty sure she's going to win that. She's like notorious for being like the best.
Well, she's
distance swimmer.
She's a distance swimmer, so like the 200 is the shortest distance she ever swims. So the 400 isn't like her strong, like bread and butter of a sport, but it's just she was still expected to win.
Yeah.
Anyway,
either way, so she's still got a couple more races and can still end her Olympic career on a high note, and maybe she chooses to return for the next Olympic Games. I don't know. We'll see though.
No.
I believe those races are tonight.
It's either today or tomorrow.
But whatever. We want to kind of brush through all the Olympics here. So Ledecky, keep an eye out on her to bounce back. The 1500-meter, if you want to watch what has been historically dominant for her, watch her in the 1500-meter. I remember in Rio, if I remember correctly, she finished the race and there was no one else even in the picture when she finished. So like this was a handed victory she had in the Olympics. Finally, last kind of coverage here on the Olympics is for the women's gymnastics. Simone Biles dropped out of the team competition. Initially, it was presented as an injury-related dropout. This morning, the news broke that this wasn't an injury, but more mental health issues, and that she was dropping out because just either too stressed, too much on her mind, wasn't able to compete at her best. Going with that, I don't know if you guys have watched much of the gymnastics or anything like that, but this has not been the same Simone Biles that we're used to in years past. She definitely seemed off her game. Definitely, you could see something was bothering her. I thought, I'm going to be honest with you, I thought right away it was probably something like mental health related. I wasn't thinking injury because it didn't look like she was favoring any side of her body or anything. With this, though, it's a shock, right? Because Simone Biles is probably the best gymnast to ever participate in the sport. Would you guys agree?
Yeah.
And she's created multiple new gymnastics moves. And because of her dropping, maybe not because, but a huge factor in it is when she dropped out, and so now the U.S. finished behind the Russian Olympic Committee to take silver in the team competition. So I just kind of wanted to open up the floor here, with it being a mental health related issue, are we thinking that the country and like the media and everything has gone in a little bit too much on these Olympic athletes, specifically the Simone Bileses of the world?
I mean, yeah, of course.
Are we putting too much spotlight on, someone like Simone Biles? Michael Phelps was under the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Just imagine that
on camera.
Yeah,
and the world was ready to crucify the man.
Everyone is combing through your life, like just every detail of your life, and they're gonna find out any little bad thing about you. So obviously, it's gonna a lot for these, and it's at a young age too. Look at 17-year-olds winning a gold medal.
Yeah.
So, of course, it's going to just have a negative impact for you mentally. Honestly, that's why I feel it. So
yeah, it's definitely something where you got to look at this, because I remember she had like the first. I don't remember when it was. I think it was this summer. She fell off the balance beam for like the first time in her career, since like probably being a child when she was learning how to do the balance beam. And all the media did and all the cameras did was just zoom in on her and focus on the fact that she had finally faltered at something in her career.
Yep.
And I think that was a very integral moment in like what ended up building up to what happened in the Olympics, is that Simone Biles had everyone ready to pounce on her at the first sign of failure or any kind of like error that she made. They were ready to just attack it.
And just like your Last Dance quote, I feel like they did a great job covering this, like exposing it, because what did they do to Michael Jordan? He was on a pedestal, and any little thing that they could find wrong with him, they highlighted.
They found
his gambling problems, stuff like that. Like anything wrong with him.
There's a point where, and like I know we talked last week after we finished our podcast about you possibly doing a rant. I can definitely rant about this fact that literally, sorry for my language, fuck the media, because they've ruined.
Let's go.
They've ruined, baby. They've ruined so much more things for people. For the simple fact is they can't do what other people are doing, so they have to try to make it come down to earth. Like Simone Biles. Simone Biles is the greatest female gymnastics, maybe even if you put male and female gymnastics
together. I would argue she's the greatest gymnast, male, female, whatever pronoun you want to use, etc. She is the best gymnast to have ever participated in the sport.
Yeah,
that's my
literally
opinion.
What the media did to her was caused her to break, not because of her physical ability, but because of what she did.
They wouldn't allow her to struggle.
I look at it as Michael Phelps, had his weed, smoking a bong or whatever outbreak. But when he's like thinking about it mentally, he's in an individual race for most of the time. Most of the time he's doing individual stuff. So he can focus on what's going to affect me and affect me personally. So he goes out and swims for himself and does it. Simone Biles is like, I'm not just my team. I'm on my team. So I have to be, the figure of consistency.
I have to be the perfect example of U.S. women's gymnastics.
And that was the thing of, I read the article after she said she dropped out. She said on her one flip where she stumbled afterwards, as she was flipping through midair, she completely forgot where she was. Like her mind blanked. And she was like, she said in her interview was like, I don't want that to happen, because if that happens, I'll let my team down. To where I understand that to a point of like, I mean, I've been on teams in the past where it's like, if I'm not mentally there, I know it can affect my team for a negative thing. But I feel like she gets so much more impact from the media, because it's like, once they see me fail, that means if I, the greatest gymnast in the world, as opposed to the media make a mistake, that means they're definitely going to make a mistake. So I feel like she pulled herself out more of like, she said it was because she thought she would get injured and like that would ruin, the team, because you don't want to ever see a teammate get injured.
No.
It usually negatively affects you in such a, sport like that, where it's so technical and not. I always look at the Louisville injury. Kevin Ware gets hurt. Louisville goes on to win the national championship. It's rallied around.
A lot harder to rally around injury and
but
stuff.
They had mistakes.
In a sport that is scored by judges.
Yeah, where it's like Simone Biles gets hurt. You think about that as you're flipping in the air and you take that one step back.
We're talking what could be a tenth of a point, and that could be the difference in the Olympics. Now, I'm not going to act like I understand the scoring process.
No, for sure.
For gymnastics, but I do know that judges they pretty much have to be heartless. Like they have to judge it purely on what they see, and they have to be able to eliminate external factors. So yeah, to your point, Nick, sure, they can look at it and go, Simone Biles, she got hurt doing this flip. I don't know flip names, whatever. Double tuck handspring, something, whatever.
I know nothing about gymnastics.
I know it's not right.
I don't think it's a thing. It might be a thing, but so they could look at it and go, "Oh, she got hurt doing this. That's why she took the step back." And it's Simone Biles. She's usually the best, so let's kind of give a little bit of a pass. No, they're not allowed to do that. They may want to, but they're not allowed to. So yeah, Simone Biles dropped out, one, because she felt like she wasn't going to be at her best, and as a result, that was going to hurt the team. But ultimately, this is a huge lesson for how we treat these athletes, how we regard these top athletes, both in the Olympic Games and just NFL, NBA, NHL, MLB. The media does not allow them to be human. There's no room for error.
Exactly.
Because everyone is waiting for you to do something wrong so that they can try and be the person who's basically responsible for ending you. That's the goal nowadays. That's what makes them money.
They force losers of national championship games to sit in front of the media and have them ask questions like, why did you lose the game for your team if it's a last-second shot or a last-second throw in football? There's no reason for the media to have to ask those questions. Yeah. They should have to talk to the winning team because, of course, you're going to want to talk to the winning team.
Yeah.
And the losing coach. The losing coach is most likely somewhere between 30 to 80 years old, depending on how old the coach is. He can handle a difficult question of, why didn't you kick a field goal? Why did you go for it on fourth down? You're not going to ask an 18, 19-year-old kid, why couldn't you throw the ball better? And why did you cost your team this whole thing, cost your university this thing? You're putting so much extra pressure on a young kid for being a human. Like, you're not going to succeed 100% of the time in your life. But the media wants you to, and once they put you on that pedestal,
they're ready for you to fail.
Biggest thing, Usain Bolt was always talked about. He's too cocky. He's too arrogant. No one likes him. And then you talk to Tyson Gay and some of the other runners that compete against him, and they absolutely loved hanging out with him. He was such a great, genuine guy. But in front of the media, he had to act cocky and arrogant so that they didn't ask him some stupid questions when he messed up. It was like, finally, we got him. So he was just like, all right, fine, you got me. But I didn't like Usain Bolt for a while because I thought he was cocky and arrogant. And then hearing the American sprinters talk about him and other countries' sprinters talk about him, he's so genuine, so down to earth. It's like he wants other people. He wants to win, of course you do. But he wants other people to succeed just as much as he wants other people.
Yeah, you almost have to be a jerk to the media nowadays anyways. Like, if you want them to leave you alone,
Marshawn Lynch.
You almost have to be a jerk. But with that, the second you fail, they're even more prepared. So, I understand that the people in the media, they have to make their money. They have to make this story that gets the most attention. But like Nick said, F you guys. Quite honestly, let athletes be human for a little bit. Just let them be human. Allow an athlete to have a bad race, a bad game. What is it? Bad? Are we saying competition? Bad routine for gymnastics? Allow them. You have to allow these people room for error, because the second you don't, you have things like this. Now Simone Biles, for all we know, her career may never be the same going forward because of this.
And not for anything. If she would have done whatever the vault thing is, and shattered her leg, it's okay, she's not going to experience the same way with Zach Miller, because Zach Miller.
Yeah,
Alex Smith. You're never going to be the same athlete because you did that. But if the media would have just straight ridiculed Alex Smith into the ground because he ruptured something, and it's why didn't you compete? You let your team down. And he ended up never being the same player. That's completely out of his control. That's the media just wanting to make a story rather than caring about the people that they're talking about. You have to realize that athletes are humans just as much as you are, and they compete for millions of dollars in pro sports.
Yeah,
I fail at my job all the time.
Some type of way.
I fail. All the time.
No, I understand.
I've had races where I've absolutely sucked at a race.
Oh, me too, but let me tell you.
We're not under the microscope. Our coach would come up to us, our teammates would come up to us and be like, you get the next race. Whereas as soon as Simone Biles does one thing wrong, it's is
this the end? Is it over?
It's no. She had one day.
This is it. This is it for Simone Biles. Her career's over. That's.
Yeah,
it's a shame that's the way the media takes it. That's the route they take it down. And like you said, Nick, NSFW there, but F them. That's why I try not to listen to those articles that are about how so-and-so is a jerk. This guy, if it's something where it says like the people in the locker room say that this guy's not liked, that's a little different. But when it's just going to be some dude who's a beat reporter for a local team or whatever is going to be like, yeah, no, this person's a jerk. Dude, you think I care what you're typing in your little Chicago Sun-Times article?
I don't. No,
I'm sorry, I don't.
Yeah, I don't care if Michael Phelps smokes all the weed in the world if he still wins gold medals.
As long as he doesn't, compromise his eligibility.
Yeah.
Dude, that man could rip a bong as much as he wants.
As long as he's
competing or anything.
Yeah, as long as he's still the best swimmer. What does it matter?
Yeah, I thought weed makes you lethargic.
The sports reporters that end up coming like. I love listening to Jeff Saturday talk because he talks about it as a player aspect. Mm-hmm. He's not going to drill into a guy for missing a block. He's going to be like, here's why he messed up, speaking as a player. I love the NBA TNT group. They got Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, and Chuck.
Charles Barkley's leaving.
And they got Ern. Ernie's never played basketball professionally. But all those guys, they're attacking players based on what they experienced in the league. Not like
it's from a player's perspective.
I've never played basketball before, but I can tell that you suck at free throws. It's like, okay, yeah, Shaq sucked at free throws the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he can talk about people missing free throws.
Yeah, you got guys who, they played basketball all the way up until high school, and then they're like, oh, this guy's garbage because he doesn't defend. He's soft. He doesn't finish at the rim. Shut up, dude. You couldn't even make it into your community college team. I don't care what you say.
Yeah.
But we can get on a tangent. Maybe this will be a rant for another time. Either way,
the media needs to kind of team, and then we can all have our own rants.
Yeah. The media just needs to kind of dial it back a little bit. Let athletes be human. Let people, allow people room to falter. You can't just hold someone.
Be Tim Anderson. Tim Anderson got criticized for bat flipping.
Yeah, let them have fun. Let them enjoy the sport, because what the media is doing is they're taking the love of the game or competition out of it. And Tim Anderson was a perfect example. He's a bat flipper. Javi Baez had quite the eccentric walk-off celebration as well.
Hey, all I'm going to say is I'm so glad I picked that game.
Yeah, Bobby was at that game.
Dude, the best game I've been to by far this year.
I have still never seen a walk-off.
I was at a Sox walk-off.
It was insane. Watch it. So
it's exciting when you're there for that.
Seventh inning, they're down by 2 runs. It's over.
A quick summary from Bob.
Someone comes in, scores, boom. All right, you're down by 1 run. I'm like, you know what? We're probably still gonna lose.
We should probably beat traffic out of here.
So, anyways, Wilson Contreras, my favorite Cubs player. Just want to throw that out there. Comes up. Smacks a home run. All right, boom, ties the game up.
Bobby's
8th inning.
Excited.
Woo! All right. Woo! Then nothing from the Reds. So guess who comes in? Take a guess.
Amir Garrett. He comes in to pitch.
No, Craig Kimbrell. All right.
I thought we were talking about pitcher for the Reds.
No. So Craig Kimbrell comes in. Might be his last game pitch as a Cub. We don't know. Trade deadline's Friday, so maybe it's his last game. Anyways. Walks first guy, gets the rest of the 3 outs. All right, we're good. Boom. All right, then here comes the Cubbies. All right, I don't even know what happened. Bases loaded.
Place Cubs.
Bases loaded. At that point, I was pretty drunk. So bases loaded. That's all I remember. Boom, pitch hitter. Here comes Javi Baez, who I was upset that didn't play, but Javier Baez comes in. Boom, deep shot to center field, ends the game.
Okay, it was a single. I feel like you hyped it up like that was a grand.
Dude, it was like feet, like a foot away from being a home run.
No, it was not. It didn't even reach the warning track.
It hit the warning track.
After
6 bounces. No, here, listen. Cool walk off. I don't want to take anything away from it. It did one. I'm gonna say it didn't hit the warning track. You can look up the video. MLB's been posting it like crazy.
Okay.
It was cool walk off. Yeah. It's always fun to be at those kinds of games, and there's a lot of people are like, "Oh wow, he hit a walk off. It would have been a routine fly if the defense wasn't playing him in." Okay. Well, they played him in. What do you want to? He hit
it where they ain't.
He hit to what the defense gave him.
I don't understand that because it's Javier Baez and He swings at everything, and he's going for a home run every time.
In all honesty, it probably is a routine fly out in a normal situation.
It's probably a sac fly. The defense still ends. So.
Yeah, the defense played him in. Okay, so he hit it, like Nick said, hit it where they ain't. I don't care if you hit a little blooper that gets just over the second baseman and drives in the game winner. You drove in the game winner. Whatever. Not like it matters, though. Javi Baez is going to be traded. Just guess. We don't know.
We don't know.
As a Cubs fan,
reportedly, he wants $200 million. Which
I love 30 a year.
I love Javier
Baez, but to short center field. Is he
worth $200 million?
No.
I don't think so.
No.
My whole thing is, Bobby, you may have witnessed the best game that the Cubs have played all year. Also, maybe one of the last games where the team stays.
All together. I was so happy that Craig Kimbrell came in.
Yeah.
And
because like we said, the MLB trade deadline is Friday, July 30th, right?
Already a couple moves, but I feel like
we've already seen a couple moves. There's a lot of big names rumored to go around. Honestly, probably one of the
called one of them here.
Yeah, no, one of the big trades.
Want that be said?
Can I talk?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
One of the big trades that happened was Adam Frazier, the second baseman for the Pirates, traded to the Padres. Quite honestly,
dude, some peanuts. Yeah, they got some packing.
Yeah, the Pirates were like, here, we'll give you Adam Frazier and
$1.4 million.
All you have to do is pay for his airfare to get there. That's pretty much what the trade was.
The Pirates
and they're paying $1.4 million. $1.4 million,
and they're getting 3 prospects in return.
I don't think a single one of these prospects is even in the Padres' top 10.
I haven't heard of any of them.
Dude, it's a bad. The Padres pulled off another Yu Darvish deal.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Here's a bag of baseballs and like a half-broken bat for batting practice. Well, we'll take one of your best players.
The worst part about a lot of the trades that people have done with the Padres is last year, the Mariners traded Austin Nola, who was a decent catcher for the Mariners, to the Padres for Taylor Trammell, Ty France, and one other player. I can't think of his name. But Ty France and Taylor Trammell have both played in the MLB this year.
Mm-hmm.
The Cubs, I don't think any of them from the Yu Darvish trade have played in the majors this
year.
Dude. I can't even tell you
their names. Yeah, I don't even know their names.
I haven't heard of these 3 guys that were traded for Adam Frazier. So I'm like, after seeing what the Mariners were able to get for, a catcher is pretty decent in MLB, but it's not like he was
fastest road to the
MLB. He wasn't a big name guy. And they were able to pull off 2 MLB ready prospects and then one more guy who was almost ready to go. I don't know what the Pirates did. I felt like the Pirates could have got more. I honestly think the Pirates, if they would have went with the Sox, could have tried to get
the Pirates. This set them. Here's the beautiful. This is what I like about it as a Sox fan, right? Actually, no. I'll just touch on it a little bit, and then we'll break down the rest of the trades, and then I'll get into this a little bit more. Right. Basically, nothing was given up for Adam Frazier, who I thought out of all the middle infielders had the highest trade value.
Yeah,
this is very good for teams like the White Sox who need a middle infielder. Specifically, when you look at the Trevor Stories, Eduardo Escobars,
Javi Baez.
I don't know if he's necessarily on the trade block, though. There's not much.
I'm just saying he's a middle infielder. So
right. The only thing really confirmed about the Cubs is Chris Bryant.
And Kimbrell.
Which I understand.
Oh, now there's some new stuff with Rizzo, which we will get into as well. But either way, this kind of set the market for middle infielders, right? Adam Frazier, in my opinion, was the top middle infielder available at the deadline. Went for a bag of peanuts, like Nick said. Went for pretty much nothing, and the Pirates paid to trade him, basically. Very weird.
Insane.
What's Pittsburgh doing? Whatever. They want to be bottom feeders. Good for them. Let them be bottom.
Just let Pat McAfee buy that team. All right.
Just let them be bottom
feeders. Good for the Cubs. They probably will
finish
in last place for a couple of years.
So this sets the market.
That's very true.
This sets the market for middle infielders. So hopefully you got teams like the White Sox who need one, other teams around the league who need them, can go and make a big splash without having to even give up a ton for it. But whatever. So we'll see how that plays out for the rest of those guys on the trade block. We had the A's traded for Andrew Chaffin from, what team is he from? I don't remember.
I will look it up.
Dude, I don't remember.
The Chicago Cubs.
What? Is he?
Andrew Chafin? The Chicago Cubs. Yeah.
Okay. Bobby knows.
So you know what the Cubs do? So Andrew Chafin having a good year. I think he's he's average at best. All right. So
flash in the pan.
He's having a good year. So you know what? Cubs just got him on a cheap deal. So you know what? They tried to deal him. And we got Deichmann, which is their number 9 prospect, and they ended up getting forgot the guy's name. Oh, Daniel Placina.
Whatever.
But I mean, he's a young guy. But we got their number 9 prospect.
Yes, but that's the thing about relief pitchers is you can get a decent return on relief pitchers. The White Sox did it for like 3 straight years. Guys who were otherwise nothing spectacular had a hot year at the deadline, traded them to a team that felt they were a bullpen arm or two away from contending. Got some decent stuff in return.
Wait, you guys seriously didn't know he was on the Cubs?
I can believe
no.
I
thought you
know
were
now
messing
because
with
I
me.
looked it up and he's got that sick mustache.
Yeah,
so
dude, you got the mustache,
Listen,
man.
dude, I'm going to be real with you. No, I didn't know that. I don't know much about
Really,
the Cubs.
who cares about the
I
Cubs?
can
They're
tell
in
you about
fourth
like
place.
Cubs players outside of their bullpen. I don't know a lot of the bullpen arms in the league aside from like the really top bullpen arms. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I
It's hard
understand
to
that.
keep up with
I understand.
part of the team. It's just a hard roster spot to like keep up to date on. Anyways, he was traded to the A's. Bobby called Starling Marte going to the Yankees.
I did call this. I knew they were gonna get him.
Pat yourself on the back. Good job, Bob. I'll clap it up for you as
Give
well.
me a round of applause. There you go. Hey, you know what? ESPN, look out. I could be your analysis. Boom.
You bring.
I could be your analysis.
And
The
Hey,
booze
but
is flowing.
I feel like that
Bobby.
helps. That helps the Yankees on a level where it's kind of hard to find a piece that's gonna instantly work and fix a lot of your holes that you've had. I feel like they've had a problem getting guys on base, and they've had a problem of getting them into scoring position. But now
that's
this guy can get himself on base because he's in pretty
Get
well.
himself in
And he can
scoring
get
position.
himself in scoring position without having someone else have to get him there.
I will say, I thought it was a little surprising because I feel like this year with the season the Yankees are having, they're pretty much out of contention for the division.
I mean, I think they're only 8.5 games back.
That's
So
a lot
I
of
mean,
games.
but if you bring in this big leadoff guy who could get on base, and then your power hitters can bring him in,
I get this. I get the thought process. The Yankees are probably in the race for the wild card at this point. Because not only do you need both the Red Sox and the Rays to slump pretty much at the same time.
But again, you got
to get back into it, and the Yankees haven't been playing spectacularly to begin with.
They haven't.
Is Starling Marte a good addition? Yes. Is Starling Marte the difference between 8.5 games for the division? No. So this is, in my opinion, they're in a wild card race.
Yes,
right now.
I'll
And
agree
obviously,
with you
there's
there.
plenty of baseball to go on. I could end up eating these words more than anyone could believe, but based on how the analytics and everything go, the Yankees are probably more pushing for wild card, less division.
5 games behind the A's for the second wild card spot as of right now.
Yeah.
So this is at this point in time, it's a wild card.
But you got to think
how the season.
You got to
shakes
think
out for
about
that
it like
division.
this way: they're a team that pays to win. So obviously, they're going to make that trade.
Yeah,
I
mean,
I like when the Yankees lose. I'll be 100% honest.
I love when the Yankees lose, and I love when Gary Sanchez is crap.
dude, you hate Gary Sanchez.
Gary Sanchez is a bum.
What was the Starling Marte trade? I've literally looked it up and it only says speculation.
Oh, it hasn't officially happened?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Oh,
It's pretty much going to happen. Details to come.
Details to come.
Details to come. But that's, if the Yankees are doing it, it's probably going to happen.
Yeah, probably.
The big thing.
It says they're the front runner right now.
Dude, Bobby, imagine if it doesn't happen.
Then I'm going to look like a real
I'm gonna
idiot.
have to.
We would
take back mine.
that would really discredit this podcast quite a bit.
I wonder who did the outline this week.
Listen, dude.
Hey, we can still put it.
Most likely going to the
Most
Yankees.
likely go to Yankees.
And you know what?
I feel like the Yankees, with where the Marlins are at and where the Yankees are at, I think it could almost be a done deal. But I don't really know for sure. And it just comes down to if all of a sudden the Marlins ask for way more than the Yankees want to offer.
Bobby's disappeared. Don't mind him.
Bobby is replenishing the drinks.
Yeah, Bobby's
It is
fueling
warming
up. No, we'll see what happens there. The big thing that I wanted to talk about, and I'm trying to buy Bobby some time here, though, is the rumor regarding the Boston Red Sox and Anthony Rizzo. So, apparently the Red Sox are being pretty aggressive in trying to acquire Anthony Rizzo. The Red Sox I couldn't even tell you who the first baseman is
Bobby
on the Red
Dahlbeck.
Sox. What?
Bobby Dahlbeck is there. He, I think, since middle of May, has played their most games at first base for them.
I'm just going to say right now, Anthony Rizzo is not leaving. the Chicago Cubs. All right, so
he's the guy I wouldn't, just because
Yes.
of like what he symbolizes for the Chicago Cubs.
if Ricketts deals him,
There will be
there will
be blood in the streets.
there will be hell to pay. You know what? You
Blood in
may
the streets.
you may
There will
have
be
made Wrigley,
goats.
you may have made Wrigley very nice. I'll give him credit. It looks very nice.
Yeah, Bobby
But-
did some walking yesterday. he
I
told
did.
me, so.
It's very nice. And they got that like
Still boring, but it's nice.
it's really nice. All right. Yeah.
There will
And
be
they,
hell to
and they
pay.
got the Ivy. Don't forget
I
about
do
that.
think the funny thing is, though, with this is Rizzo was originally brought into the MLB through Boston. Epstein was, I think, the GM or like a front office guy.
He's a front. He wanted, from what I heard, is he wanted Rizzo. They ended up drafting Rizzo, traded him to the Padres. He was very upset about that. Then after he moved to the Cubs, he's like, Anthony Rizzo's up for free agent. Like,
We're getting him.
we're getting him because I wanted him in Boston, and I
want him here.
He's still at the same level that I thought he was going to be.
And he
at.
was the first piece that you brought in to that rebuild.
To compare it to the White Sox, he was like Jose Abreu.
Yes, and like you
Do
can't-
right by them.
Yeah.
I mean, unless he wants to move on.
I don't think he does though.
He may not.
Even Chris Bryant doesn't even want to leave. Like, okay,
Chris, listen, when
I-
the offseason comes, Chris Bryant's going to go to wherever.
Yeah,
it's
I
like,
know,
here's
but-
the money truck.
yeah. I mean,
But
obviously,
Scott
he's
Boras is his agent.
probably going to be on the Phillies with Bryce Harper.
Nah,
JT
dude.
Realmuto.
He's going to find himself. I'm calling it. He's going to find himself out west. Giants.
Giants. Ooh,
I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind seeing him playing.
I
You
can
heard
see
it.
that.
You heard it here first.
You know-
I don't think there's a single rumor about that, but I am saying the Giants.
But you also did call the Suns in 5. And
Listen,
what
I am
happened?
known for
Bucks
my.
in 6.
I am.
There we go.
I am.
Hey, learn from him.
Hey,
he has
I
learned
also
from his
called Milwaukee finishing ahead of the Cubs at the before spring training even ended, and we'll go back and I'll listen to the tape, Bob. You laughed at me. We have a $20 bet on the line with that.
They're on a hot streak. All right.
They've been on a hot
It's
streak
gonna
for
wear
2
off.
months.
Hey,
now.
let me ask you a question, dude. What are the White Sox good for? They can't even sweep the Brewers?
They took a game.
Hold on.
Yeah,
The
they took
Brewers are
one
hot.
game. They took
hot
one
team.
game, man.
I
What
thought
are you
the-
doing for me? Nothing.
I just
Homie, you are 8.5 games back in that
No.
division.
Speaking of-
No. You are not going down this road, buddy.
I would
We're
like
not
to,
going there.
I would like to ask you as a Sox fan.
Sure.
Eloy came back yesterday. Sox haven't moved for anyone in trade deadline
Yeah.
time. Are you okay with that because Eloy's back, or are you also like it kind of just looks like they're like, hey, Eloy's back, we don't need anyone else?
Listen, Eloy's back. That's cool. The dude is going to take some at bats before he's back up to MLB speed. That's
Yeah,
just the
I mean,
reality of it. So to
over
think
four
that
yesterday.
Eloy returning is an instant fix for the problem in this lineup, that's just kind of a bad way of thinking. I would have loved to see the Sox go after Adam Frazier. The fact that what the Padres gave up for Adam Frazier is what it is kind of makes me think,
I mean,
did the Sox not even try?
It kind of
was-
makes me upset. They fleeced the Cubs in the Yu Darvish trade. They
Yeah, you
fleeced
got
the
you
Pirates
got a personal vendetta against the
in the
Padres.
Adam Frazier trade. Like,
I just-
are
we
we just trying to give them a World Series?
We
Like,
talked about like 3 or 4 weeks ago that I was kind of set on they could probably trade Eloy to get Adam Frazier and a couple other pieces.
Mhm.
And then we talked about how you would like to see them get rid of Nick Madrigal if they were going to need a middle infield like for Trevor Story.
Only if it was long term.
Yeah. So I'm,
Only if
saying,
it was a
I'm thinking
long-term
Adam
deal.
Frazier they could have definitely rolled long term because he's not
Yeah,
saw that money
I'm definitely,
Which
But it sounds like
I-
the Sox wouldn't have to give up Madrigal or Eloy or really any of their MLB ready prospects,
just
and they would have had him.
exactly.
I feel like at that point, would you be fine if Adam Frazier just pieced out at the end of the season? I feel like I would be.
yeah.
Yeah, no. If that's the trade it took to get him, I wouldn't have cared all that much. But whatever. What I was going to get into at the beginning of this piece here. Sorry, I have a hiccup. Ow.
It's all the teas you've been drinking.
So if this is what the asking price was for Adam Frazier, I can only imagine this is good news for the market on Trevor Story.
Yeah.
As I said before, if the White Sox are really in on Trevor Story, I'm all in on it as well, as long as it is a long-term like kind of deal, right? Where, you trade for Trevor Story and then you're also going to extend him. I don't want a rental play. Well, if this is what it takes to get someone like Trevor Story, I actually don't care if it's a rental player anymore. But if you're going long-term, you probably would want.
So you're saying if you're not taking out the top 25 roster, any of those players to trade for Trevor Story, you're most likely okay with it as long as it isn't like the whole farm system.
Right. Because the White Sox need to do something. It's nothing against the guys like Larry Garcia and Adam Engel and whatnot, but those aren't supposed to be your everyday starters. They're platoon guys. And Larry Garcia, I like the guy. He's very versatile. He can play pretty much every position on the
How
field.
long has he been on the Sox?
He's the longest tenured White Sox.
That's insane.
He was part of the Alex Rios trade. Tell me if you remember Alex Rios, if you even know who Alex Rios is.
I don't even know who that is, man.
Alex Rios was like a big deal back in like 2010. But so he was a part of the trade. He's the longest tenured White Sox. And I like, don't get me wrong.
Hey, back when Tim Lincecum was the star.
Dude, Bobby was creaming himself for Tim Lincecum for like 3 years.
Back in 2K9, he was the best pitcher.
Wasn't everyone?
Yeah, he was a big deal for like 2 years. I don't know what happened to him. But
Barry Zito is my guy, and I'm like, ooh, Tim Lincecum. Long hair, don't care.
Long hair, don't care. But so you need to get an everyday starter in place of Larry Garcia. He's 2 for like his last 46. That's not good. It's not good. So you need to – I don't like that the White Sox are being quiet, especially after this Brewers series, right, Bobby? You wanted to rip into the White Sox. I'm all for ripping it.
Yeah, that was not impressive
at all.
They were
sloppy for 2 – they were sloppy for 2 of the 3 games.
Lucas Giolito got eaten alive by Rowdy Tellez. Rowdy Tellez had 3 hits. He had 3 home runs that game.
And I just wanted to add –
Giolito pitched 6 scoreless innings.
Did he? I thought – No,
that was game 2 is when he hit 2 home runs.
Okay.
And those were off of Jose Ruiz and then Ronaldo Lopez. Okay. Because, Giolito pitched 6 scoreless innings.
Rowdy Tellez all of a sudden was like, hey, I'm an MLB player.
And then naturally you go to your bullpen at some point in the game, right? And the Sox bullpen was like, hey, why don't we just throw BP to these hitters?
Dude, they really need to – they should have been in play for an Andrew Chafin or you know what I mean? They need bullpen.
And I think the Sox are in play for a bullpen arm more than a middle infielder because to me that's their most glaring need. You need to address bullpen right now.
Yes.
Because it is a problem that this was sort of expected, right? Because a lot of those guys were rookies last year. So you figured there was going to be a rough year to follow, a pretty solid rookie year. That's just kind of the nature of professional sports. But the fact that you have Michael Kopech, Garrett Crochet, and Liam Hendricks, and pretty much anyone that's not one of those 3 is a complete question mark as to whether or not they'll be able to hold off for 1 inning.
Aaron Bummer dude, he's a bum, man. He stinks.
Aaron Bummer is not even my issue because Aaron Bummer has just a string of
Dude, he's the worst one, I'm pretty sure, by far. He has like a 6 ERA.
But here's the thing with Aaron Bummer. If you've watched him pitch, a lot of the hits that happen for him are infield singles. Like horrible contact is made, but it is such a high bouncer that the guy's just fast enough to beat it out because the ball has such slow movement on it.
He also is one of those pitchers where the more hitters who see him, the worse he – like I feel like
he's a sinker baller.
He can straight up shut down a 1-2-3 inning, but once you start requiring him to pitch multiple innings in multiple games back to back to the same team, that's when he starts to get just absolutely rocked. But he can come in for a 1-2-3 inning and just dominate.
Aaron Bummer going into this year was expected to be the setup man.
Yeah.
And you know what? He's run into a bad string of luck, and it's not. He doesn't give up hard contact. It's just the fact is he gives up these little cheap hits, but it strings along. And at the beginning of the season, there were a lot of errors that happened on that defense behind him. The White Sox struggled defensively at the beginning of the year, and that's what hurt his ERA so badly. He's not a bad pitcher. He's a sinker baller. So literally what he's going to do is he's going to throw to lefties. He's either going to throw his sinker away or his slider away. And guys usually don't hit it well. But if you have errors behind you or your guys aren't fast enough to get to the ball, guys will get on base. To righties, it's going to be pretty much a sinker in or a sinker away. That's literally his pitch mix. And it's worked for him. And it's not. He doesn't give up home run balls. He doesn't give up good contact.
Yeah, he's a Kyle Hendricks.
Yeah, he's not a bad pitcher. He's had a bad season, and a lot of it really is, in my opinion, due to some bad luck and some tough, just wrong place, wrong time. I still have hope for Aaron Bummer. He's still, in my opinion, one of the better bullpen arms. He's coming back from the IL, so he hasn't even pitched in 3 weeks.
I look at the Sox as a team that could definitely make a long run, unless the team gets everything they want. a team like Tampa Bay, who has already got Nelson Cruz, and now
they're in play for Chris Bryant and
they want
Max
Chris
Scherzer.
Bryant and Max Scherzer.
If Rick gets fleeced with this Chris Bryant trade, I will want his head.
Will you be joining the White Sox Nation?
No, I'm still going to be on the Cubs, but I will want Ricketts' head on a stick.
But I'm just saying, if
people are going to want his head on a stick,
if Tampa Bay if they get Bryant and Scherzer, I don't really think it matters what other teams do.
Oh, I know.
Plus
Nelson Cruz.
They have Nelson Cruz, Chris Bryant, Max Scherzer added to a team that just was in the World Series. I feel like if that ends up happening, it's going to be San Diego versus Tampa Bay in the World Series. And you know what? Honestly, at that point, I really don't care who wins. It'd be just like the NBA Finals.
Yeah. I'm still going to root for Tampa. I like Tampa more, mostly because
Randy Rosarena.
Moneyball, man.
Moneyball. But also,
Moneyball East Coast.
Here's the reason, right? Is because
Padres are like the Yankees at this point, dude.
I'm saying Moneyball East Coast because Oakland was Moneyball originally. They're West Coast.
Yeah. So here's why I would root for the Rays in that situation is because I look at it, the two teams that got the most hype going into this year, the Padres and the White Sox. I as a White Sox fan, I want them to win the race to the World Series championship. That's just, that's just the reality of it for me.
I just thought about this, though. If it's San Francisco versus Tampa Bay in the World Series, who would you want to win that one?
I want San Francisco just because I thought they were going to be trash.
Listen, I almost want to agree with you, but I want the Rays to win it so badly.
He wants the Rays to win it so bad he even goes against the orange and black team, which apparently is his favorite color.
Yeah, dude, that's his favorite color.
The Orioles are the favorite of those two, just so we're clear.
But they suck.
Well, yeah, I know they suck. Okay, you don't got to remind me. And I'm not even a big Orioles fan. All right, but the two orange and black teams, I like. The Orioles were the team I liked first. I'm gonna listen. I'm acknowledging that little 7-year-old Andrew didn't have the most logic with picking his favorite teams. Okay. But the Giants have seen their success.
And Andrew got beat by the Orioles back in 5th grade, man.
Yeah, we don't need it. I was on the Cubs. Crazy.
You got beat, man.
Losers.
Yeah, notorious losers.
All because of your right fielder.
I'm just thinking that if the Rays end up getting
because of what?
Your right fielder.
Stop that. That's foul. Foul. Don't do him like that. But yeah, it's his fault.
I'm just looking at if the Rays get Scherzer and Bryant, I'm still going to root for them over a lot of the powerhouses in the NL, but they get to the point now where they're turning into a powerhouse themselves. You know what I'm saying? Last year it was big underdog. If they get Chris Bryant and Max Scherzer,
they're not an underdog anymore.
They're getting rental players at that point. But
nah, dude, they have the money to spend.
Dude,
they just
Cruz
don't spend
is probably
it.
going to hit Bob into his 60s. There's just no way.
At this rate, dude.
What? How old is he? 42?
43.
43? Jeez.
He has the most home runs in baseball since 2010.
No way.
Yeah.
I'm glad he's out of the division.
And
he killed the White Sox.
Your bum Mariners couldn't even.
Whoa, they almost traded for him again after not re-signing him because they're like, he's done. And then he goes to Minnesota where they hit the most home runs that an MLB team's ever hit in one season.
And then the White Sox did it the next year. Well, for a shortened season.
Yeah.
They were on pace to break it. Sorry, I was checking my phone to see if any trades happened. Nothing's happened. The White Sox are just losing to the Royals. Either way, though, the trade deadline, watch for some crazy stuff to happen, guys. I'm being serious. You're going to see Chris Bryant is going to be moved for sure.
Please, God, just rebuild our farm system at least,
get a good return for him.
Yes, that's all I ask.
Get some good pitchers.
Top 10. I don't want these bums, all right?
Do you want Kyle Seager?
No.
Can't have him. He's too good.
I don't want him anyways, man.
He hits more home runs than most of the Cubs players, except for Ryan.
Either way, we'll see. A lot of big names expect them to be moved. I imagine the White Sox will hopefully be in play for middle infielder and a bullpen arm. At least one of those two things. But whatever. We'll see how that all plays out.
I think the biggest news that has happened recently saddens all three of us in a great deal.
It doesn't sadden me. What it does is it pisses me off to my core.
And poor Blake Bortles is out of a job because of it.
Nah, Blake Bortles is still staying on that roster.
No, they cut him, man. He's gone, dude. They cut him.
Aaron Rodgers, I hate you.
Dude,
with
smoking
every fiber.
Blake Bortles gone. Out of the job because of you.
Blake Bortles, without a doubt, is my favorite backup quarterback in the league.
So now
Justin Fields, I'm not counting him as a backup quarterback because he will eventually start.
Yes, he will be the starter.
But Blake Bortles, I love that man. Since his days at UCF when he beat Baylor in the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, I was like, this is my man right here. He's that guy.
Now Blake Bortles,
other good chips,
sitting at home blasting some cigs because he's out of a job because of Aaron Rodgers.
Hey, he'll probably be on,
Bears
Sunday Night Football.
We could use a practice squad quarterback.
Tyler Bray's my quarterback.
Dude, I hate that man. Like, why do we even have him?
We're going down a dark path here. For those who don't know, which some people may not know, but Aaron Rodgers has reported to training camp now. I mix up all the different names for the different
which doesn't mean anything except for the fact that he has now moved away from his strong stance of I'm not showing up.
He has returned to training camp. The latest report from Ian Rappaport is that he is intending to play for the Packers at least this year.
Yes.
That's really the only confirmation he'll return for this year. Coincidentally, Davante Adams is now resuming his contract talks with the Packers because Aaron Rodgers is back.
Yes.
I made a Michael Jordan Last Dance reference at the beginning of the show. What I meant by that is both Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams posted at the exact same time on their Instagram stories the picture of Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan, fist bumping like on the basketball court. Mm. That was like notoriously associated with the Last Dance docuseries that Netflix released and ESPN released. So a lot of people take this as this is Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams' last season together. They're reuniting for one last run before they both either move on to separate teams. One retires, maybe they both go elsewhere. Whatever. A lot of people are reading between the lines, saying, "Boom, this is the last year that these two will be together."
Rodgers wants one more crack at with his guys. Last year, I think they had the ability to possibly win the Super Bowl.
They're notorious for losing in the NFC Championship game.
Yes, they are.
If I don't get to watch the Bears in the playoffs, I can at least enjoy watching Green Bay lose in the NFC Championship.
I 100% agree with that.
But I think Rodgers is like, this is my time. I'm going to do it. I'm going to prove that the Packers are wrong. I'm going to leave, and then the Packers are going to be in absolute shambles.
Possibly.
Next year. So he's like,
I just want them to be in shambles now, though.
I do too. This sucks to be a Bears fan.
Bears fans.
And they're in talks to get Randall Cobb back, Andrew.
Randall Cobb absolutely kills the Bears. Is there anything about Randall Cobb that is like a spectacular athlete?
No, dude, he's a bum.
He's in the NFL, so obviously the dude's a very good athlete. But
he had a couple good seasons.
Comparative to like other wide receivers, other slot receivers, Randall Cobb is as average as they come. Yet you look at every year he's been on Green Bay, there's always one freaking game in every season where the Bears have some heartbreaking loss to Green Bay, aside from, the Mark Trestman years where they got blown out by Green Bay. Actually, no, Mark Trestman's first year, the 4th and 7 in the final game of the season to win the division and go to the playoffs. What happens? Oh, of course, Randall Cobb catches a game-winning touchdown. Of course, it has to be Randall Cobb, right? It's always Randall Cobb. I don't hate Randall Cobb, except that I do hate Randall Cobb. Not because I think he's a bad person, but he kills the Bears every time. And because of that, I hate the man as much as I hate Aaron Rodgers. But I will at least acknowledge that Aaron Rodgers is probably one of the 5 best quarterbacks to ever play the position. That being said, I had one word for when I saw the news that Aaron Rodgers reported, and it was an expletive. And, I'm not Nick, so I'm not going to share it. But it was
what I said.
It started with an F and had UCK in it. The word was fuck. Okay.
Wow.
And I was so
two. Not just one.
Two on you again, guys. I could have cried when I saw the news. Someone else talk for a second.
I just look at it.
Screw you, Green Bay.
Yeah, dude, it's like
so much.
They literally gave us hope all offseason, and now right before the season starts,
what are we going to do? We're going to dangle this little treat in front of Bears fans. The whole organization's going to blow up. Aaron Rodgers isn't coming back. Davante Adams doesn't want to extend his contract.
You know what, Green Bay?
48 hours. Oh, it was 48 hours.
You know what, Green Bay?
48 hours.
We got one thing on you. Who do we got? Justin Fields.
Boom. I am so disappointed. I'm going to be honest. I am so disappointed. And That news was the worst news I've gotten in a very long time.
Aaron Rodgers, what are you doing? Just go back to Hawaii, man.
Dude,
tired.
Aaron.
Hey, next year, Miles
do
Teller,
me a favor.
Devontae Adams, and Aaron Rodgers are going to be out there.
Aaron, just do me a favor.
Chilling out there.
Leave Green Bay. The weather sucks there. Come on, you enjoy the Wisconsin weather. It's not even a beautiful state.
I don't think he likes cheese that much.
Aren't you lactose intolerant? Get out of there. Go to California.
On the other side of it,
anywhere else.
We got some Bears news for you.
Yeah,
Anthony Miller traded to the Texans for a 5th-round pick.
Good riddance. Listen, I don't get anything against Miller. The writing was on the wall.
He's just not
the
that
number
good.
2 spot on that roster was his position to lose, and he didn't do anything to help himself. He steadily regressed, and then he got ejected in the playoff game last year. Not that I don't think that makes much of a difference.
But Darnell Mooney is just that much better than
Darnell Mooney's better. He's faster. He's got better hands. He doesn't drop the ball. He's the same size, pretty much.
Yeah.
We
signed Demir Bird, Marquise Goodwin.
This can work for Anthony Miller. I think he's
the best Olympic athlete ever.
Yeah, but just can't catch a football.
Don't change the context of that on me. I said Marquise Goodwin was a very good Olympic athlete compared to the question of other professional football players, baseball players.
But he just can't catch a football.
I don't care. The question wasn't about his wide receiving ability.
Dude, he's like 5th on that receiver. Demir Bird's better than him.
Good for him. All I said is he'd probably be a pretty good Olympic athlete given the context.
The only thing I'm mad about is I feel bad for Anthony Miller going to the dumpster
fire. Dude. Yeah, you have to go to the worst.
He could have gotten traded to any other team, and I've been like, you know what, Anthony Miller, good for us getting rid of him because I don't think he was really fit.
Yeah, the dude, he definitely
he's just like, oh, what's going on here?
He definitely needed a change of scenery. The funny thing is, we're talking about Aaron Rodgers reporting. Deshaun Watson is also going to report for training camp.
Yes,
however, he still has every intention. He's doing it to avoid the fines. He doesn't want to be there. So
we'll see what he doesn't host Jeopardy.
Obviously,
Aaron Rodgers
there is that whole factor. We don't want to get into it, but huge question mark on what's going to happen with him.
If he's even allowed.
I still don't know. I don't know what any team would want to touch.
We're just going to leave it at there's some legal things going on.
Yeah.
We try to avoid those kinds of topics here.
Houston
in the garage.
is listening to trade options. They want 3 first-rounders
and
least.
then some.
Like
3 first-rounders to get the conversation started.
For a huge question mark.
I don't think they have the negotiating power for that. But we'll see how that all plays out. Houston's blowing it.
Still a dumpster fire of an organization.
We have to move from Texans to Texas.
Longhorns. Horns up.
And Oklahoma.
Horns up.
Both putting in their request to join the SEC as about an hour earlier putting in their formal leaving of the Big 12.
Yeah, so for those who aren't too familiar with the conference breakdown, so you have the Southeastern Conference, that's where Alabama, that's where the powerhouses are, is the SEC. And University of Texas, the Longhorns, and then Oklahoma University, Boomer Sooners.
Boomer Sooners, baby. Hey, Spencer Rattler, man.
Spencer Rattler. They have officially put in their request to leave the Big 12 and join the SEC. Is this the end of the Big 12? Kind of. These are your last 2 big programs in the conference.
Yes. The Pac-12 was also their president of the Pac-12 said we're not going to go out and try to poach teams from other conferences, but we'd be stupid not to listen. I think they have fielded some calls already from some other Big 12 teams thinking about leaving because
the Big 12 might end.
You're getting rid of
which is insane.
Oklahoma, Texas A&M already dipped out earlier, right? Because they're in the SEC now.
Texas A&M's been in the SEC for like the last 10 years now.
10 years now?
Maybe not that long, but since like 2000, I think 2014 was their first year.
I feel like Johnny Manziel did not play in the SEC.
He was in the SEC.
Was he?
They were an SEC team. They had to play Alabama like every year. Yeah, no, they joined the SEC. I believe it was 2014 2014 was their first year in the SEC. Or no, Johnny Manziel's first year as the starter was their first year in the SEC.
Okay.
I don't know what year it was. I want to say it was 2014.
It was about the time that we got out of high school.
All I know is in NCAA football 2012, they were still Big 12. So it was either 13 or 14.
So when you take Oklahoma and the Longhorns out of it, you got Oklahoma State, Baylor, Texas Tech, Iowa State,
Kansas,
West Virginia.
What? Kansas. And Kansas wants to join the. There's another thing. Kansas wants to join the Big Ten now. So now you're going to lose your best basketball program.
Kansas State was thinking about leaving and going to the Pac-12. That was the one team they thought. Kansas State, and Oklahoma State. So it's like at a certain point, you're the Big 12 with like 7 teams going to be left or 8 teams.
You're not the Big 12. You're the little 7.
Yeah, dude.
And that's your powerhouse team. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oklahoma.
We could realistically see the Big 12 just kind of fizzle out and join the other conferences, or maybe they start their own mini conference. You have conferences like the Mac-10, the AAC.
Yeah, you do. But it's just if Oklahoma and
Texas lose, there's your big football powerhouses.
I mean, Iowa State.
Ohio State would run that conference going forward because of that. Yeah. And if Kansas leaves
Ohio State, what team did you actually?
I'm sorry, Oklahoma State
or Iowa. Iowa State,
Oklahoma State, and Iowa State would be your 2 big ones.
Yeah, they would be the 2
Iowa
big
State
ones,
could realistically get out of the Big 12 too.
Yeah, they could.
Iowa State could just move over to the Big 10 with Iowa.
You're losing Texas and Oklahoma, and Kansas wants to join the Big 10. So not only are you losing your 2 best football programs, you're going to lose your best, if not one of your best.
Well, Oklahoma and Kansas, I feel like are your top 2 teams, with Texas being close third for basketball.
So you're going to lose all of your top money makers for the conference. That conference is probably on the way out. What it says about the SEC is that's the conference you want to be in. The recruiting power is in the SEC.
You have to think about it, dude. Every NFL superstar, 9 times out of 10,
most of them come from the SEC.
Yes.
So moving, it's one thing to be the Texas Longhorns. You have, a legacy. You have
Vince Young.
Yeah.
Cole McCoy.
You have notoriety.
Come on, man. Still stinks.
My boys.
You have all these things working for you as the Texas Longhorns and Oklahoma Sooners. But now you join the SEC. So now you can add into that you are in the premier conference for college football. Right? Let's be real. The scouts pay the most attention there.
Yes, they do.
Now you have that. You can be like, okay, well, you can come to Texas. We're in the SEC too. You're going to be just on just as big of a stage. It's a program that's on the up and up. You have Oklahoma that's been right in there in the top 10 every single year. So now you've just added recruiting power because the SEC, that's where players want to play in college because that's their best chance at the NFL.
Can I give my honest opinion why I think Texas and Oklahoma may have flipped over to SEC?
Sure. No, you can't. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I think a big thing that pulled them over is a lot of the problem with the college football playoff committee. Not any team being more.
They do disrespect the Big 12 and Pac-12.
They disrespect other conferences and they over-respect Alabama in general. Alabama can lose a game to Auburn or another top 5 team, and they'll for sure be in that top 4 playoff contention. If Oklahoma loses to Texas, 100% they're guaranteed not getting a playoff spot. Texas loses to Oklahoma, they're 100% not guaranteed a playoff spot. Mm-hmm. So why wouldn't you move to the SEC where now you're like, hey, we both have 1 loss. They might not play Alabama every year, but Texas could be like, hey, we had 1 loss in the SEC. Alabama had 1 loss in the SEC. You have to consider us for the top 4.
Yes.
If you're considering Alabama. Whereas they just look at Big 12 and they're like, oh, you're not the SEC. I very much dislike how Alabama gets favored by the committee almost every year. But also there's only 4 teams. So they're always going to go big money-wise where everybody wants to see Alabama.
I still want to see the college playoff change, but I agree. Alabama does get favored.
No, they're probably going to extend the college football playoffs. I say you extend it to 8 teams.
Yes.
Because that way you get – I think every Power 5 conference champ should be in it. And then, I guess in this case, you have 1 wild card where the bottom 2 of the top 8 play each other. And then the number 7 in that case is another wild card. But whatever, we can break that down going forward.
Yes. We'll talk about that. I just want to touch on one thing from college that we haven't really touched on since. So the name, image, and likeliness we did touch. It changed, and we have quarterback Bryce Young from Alabama has already made almost $1 million in endorsements already.
Jeez.
And he has not even started 1 snap in college football. That's insane.
That's life-changing.
It's life-changing for him.
Good for him.
So much better for, I think, college football and football in general because you saw so many of these people that drop out of bowl games because they were like, if I get hurt in this bowl game, I might be losing out on so much millions.
Yes,
this guy can make millions of dollars before he even gets that chance to play in that bowl game, to the point where he's like, hey, yeah, of course you never want to see a guy get hurt, and you don't want to say like, oh, I can get hurt and I'll be fine.
But now he's got some flexibility.
Yeah, at least now you're like, hey, if I fall from 5th in the draft to 25th, I've already made $7 million in my past 4 years. I'll be okay. I'll play in the Tostitos Bowl. I'll play in the Orange Bowl. I'll play in whatever.
But obviously he is the favorite starter for one of the probably the best college football team. That's just something to show. Like, he's already made $1 million.
I'm not saying that the quarterback for U of I is going to make $1 million also, but
I don't know his name.
I don't know
but
his name.
One last thing on this before we move on. So Oklahoma and Texas both leaving. This means a couple things, right? One, the Red River Shootout, Red River Showdown, whatever they call it. I know it's Red River. It's Shootout or
Red River Showdown.
It's So that stays intact because they both are going to join the same conference. Another thing, though, they're coming from the Big 12. Both programs have not been known for their defenses because the Big 12 conference is not a defensive conference. So is there going to be a bit of a learning curve going into this, or are we going to see that Texas and Oklahoma are preparing for SEC-style play in the years to come? Because we didn't say it, but this would be effective in the year 2025. Like, that's the soonest this switch would happen.
At least 18 months to leave the Big 12. And then you need about another 18 months to get selected into SEC.
Yeah, so
and they can't really start the process until they're out of the Big 12. So technically they can't even start. They have a petition to be in.
2025 is when this would all be effective. That's the first year of them being in the SEC. So this is years to come.
I think
we can see these programs start preparing for that now.
I think this throws a wrench into college football. How, say the Big 12 stays together, they change their name to Big 8 or whatever it is. I think you're going to start to see where college football in general is going to have a play style. It's no longer going to be the SEC play style and the Big 12 play style. You're going to be like, if Oklahoma State wants to make the college playoff, they're going to have to play a lot of SEC schools, which means they're going to have to figure out how to win in those games.
Yeah. So there's going to be a lot of changes in college football in the years to come.
Yeah.
So we'll keep you guys posted. We'll keep you guys in.
It's exciting, man.
It's fun. It gives us something to talk about. So I love college football. Actually, no, I like the NFL more, but I like the news and like the stuff surrounding college football.
Oh, I can agree with you like that.
There's so much
like
that goes on in college football. And so many more like nuances of it that I just enjoy like following. So we'll be sure to keep you guys updated with all of that stuff going forward. One last thing we want to touch up on. I know this is kind of a longer episode, but like we said, a lot has happened in this past week.
Yeah,
a lot has happened.
Crazy.
In the last 2 days, we've had so much stuff happen. So one final thing, we wanted to end this with the Chicago Blackhawks. For those of you who don't follow hockey all that much, Blackhawks from 2009 to 2016 were like at the top of the NHL game. They were one of like the premier organizations, one of the teams to model after. Then they kind of fell from grace for a little bit. Have been a little bit of a mediocre team, nothing spectacular. Some hot streaks here and there. This offseason, they have been very aggressive in trying to get back to what they were for that 2009 to 2016, string of seasons. So with that, on NHL Draft Day, they acquired Seth Jones from the Columbus Blue Jackets. For those who don't know, Seth Jones he's a 26-year-old defenseman. He had a bit of a down year last year, but he has a very promising future in the NHL. For the most part, he's been one of the better and more sought-after defensemen.
They also had his older brother recently, I think. Right?
That you'd have to look at. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
This is a replacement to bring in for Crawford.
For Keith.
Duncan Keith.
Keith,
yeah. So Duncan Keith, they traded him. Yeah. So you basically went and got 26-year-old Duncan Keith. They're similar play style defensemen. Like I said, Seth Jones had a bit of a down year. But the analytics of him on his career trajectory and past seasons tell you that this is going to be a good move. They signed him also to a $76 million contract. I think it was an 8-year, $76 million contract extension. So he's here for the long haul.
Yeah.
And traded for a first-round pick and I think like a third-round pick, and then got in return like a second with him or something.
And you didn't give up DeBrincat.
You didn't give up players for him.
Yes. Those were the two rumored that they would have to give up.
Yeah, they didn't have to give up anything for him. They got a draft pick or two in return. I don't remember the exact details of the trade. I personally am a fan of the trade. They didn't have to give up one of their big players. This is them saying, we want to compete again because they were kind of playing themselves into a wild card spot at some point last season, and then they fell back down because their defense has been bad.
Yes.
So you moved on.
But also, like, he's a replacement for Duncan Keith, and I love Duncan Keith, love him, but
Duncan Keith was older. He
was not at the ability that he thought he was. Duncan Keith thought he could still compete, where he was, he could be out there for 5 minutes on a shift and be fine. He couldn't do that anymore. Not for any fault of his own. He was just getting.
He's getting older. Age caught up to him. All of the games played, the minutes on the ice have caught up to him. What you did is you went and you got a younger. They're the same style defenseman.
Will he be the same to Chicago as Duncan Keith did? I don't think.
Probably not.
No, yeah. I mean, Duncan Keith will always have a special place.
Legacy.
Yeah.
Seth Jones is one of those guys where he gets stuck out there for a little bit longer than other defensemen. He's still going to give you 100% effort. That's what everyone loved about Duncan Keith in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
He played 100%, whether he was out there for 20 seconds or if he got stuck out there for 4 minutes. He would still be playing 100%.
Yeah. So I'm a fan of the trade. I believe Seth Jones will have a bounce back year from a down season this past season. So that's a name to watch for the Blackhawks going forward. Keep an eye on him.
About their addition that they've recently.
You're not?
I am not.
So So the other addition was Marc-Andre Fleury from the Vegas Golden Knights. Nick, this was a very shocking move. I don't think anyone saw this coming.
I didn't. I saw it on Instagram. One of the
reasons is that it is now rumored that Marc-Andre Fleury, from this point on, we will only refer to him as Fleury. He is rumored to be considering retirement over playing for Chicago. Nick, fill us in on why this isn't. You're not a fan of this move.
I mean, one of the biggest reasons I'm not a fan is because I feel like a lot of times when you trade for a guy who you don't know if wants to play for you, you get into that problem of, is he going to compete as well as he should? Because, he's just not happy being where he is, which happens in all sports at all levels. When you have a guy that's been in the league for as long as Marc-Andre Fleury and has accomplished so much, a lot of guys are like, hey, Albert Pujols goes to LA. He's like, I want to get a ring. I might not play as well as I am, but I still want to get that ring. Marc-Andre Fleury, a great player in the past, is at that point where he's won best goalkeeper.
Yeah, he was a Vezina Trophy winner last year.
He has won
at 36.
He has won Stanley Cups. He has accomplished everything he could possibly want in his career to a point where
he can realistically look back and go, do I want to continue?
Exactly.
And it's not unreasonable for him at this point in his career. So I agree with you. There's uncertainty there.
If you signed him where he was like, yes, I want to play for the Chicago Blackhawks, you'd be okay, maybe not a great move. He's older. He might not give you exactly what you want. But at the point acquiring him from a team where he had a decent list of no trade clause teams that he went to.
Yeah, so I'll dive into his no trade clause a little bit.
If he doesn't want to play for the Blackhawks at any point, he'd be like, you know what, I'm retired, done. Like, it's not like he's under contract where it's like you're forced to play. He can just step away from hockey, and for no fault of his own, he's accomplished everything. That's why I don't like it. If he was close to winning the Stanley Cup every year or close to making the playoffs every year, I could be like, I want one more chance. Blackhawks seem like a team that could possibly make the playoffs, maybe have a long playoff run.
I don't hate it because you're giving pennies off the dollar to get him, and if he does play for you, that can make your defense so much better. And honestly, that could throw you into playoff contention right there. Just having Fleury.
That's what I want to get into. The Blackhawks gave up. They traded one minor leaguer for him. The minor leaguer. I know his last name was like Hankinen or something. I think it's like I honestly think it's like Michael Hankinen. I'm pretty sure it's like basically Michael Hankinen. You can look it up to like confirm if you guys want to. I don't remember like his full name. I know it's Hankinen at the end.
I'm more upset with. I'll let you finish, but like that. I don't really care if they gave up. It's just how they limit themselves to cap space. I'm assuming you're going to touch on it, but like I'm not so much of what they gave up for him because they really didn't give up much. It's just they've hamstringed themselves too. We're all in on Fleury at this moment.
Yeah, so here's the thing, right? So they traded a minor leaguer who hopefully maybe develops into like a solid piece for a team, but he's not viewed as like a franchise-changing player. And obviously you can't say for certainty that he will or won't be that.
Yeah.
But you gave up one prospect that's not really on your radar. You gave that up for the reigning Vezina Trophy winner and Marc-Andre Fleury. What you did do, though, is you now have left yourself, if he plays, with $0.6 million, $600,000 in cap space, the lowest in the league. So this is without a doubt the last move you could even think to make. Like you literally cannot make anything else other than some like league minimum player. You're done. This is your last move. If he retires, okay, you're not on the hook. I'm pretty sure if he retires, his contract is just gone. That $7 million that you owe him is off the books. No harm, no foul. You gave up a guy who most likely isn't going to amount to much in the NHL. No, nothing against the guy,
especially for the next year. Well, I mean,
yes, especially for the next year or two. But the big thing is the no trade clause. So for those who are unfamiliar with the way that NHL contracts work, I think this is unique to the NHL.
Yeah, there's NBA.
And NBA has these. Okay, I was going to say maybe
I don't know if it's the same level, but I know.
Yeah, so there's in the contracts they have no movement clauses and no trade clauses. No movement clauses are literally you can't be traded, you can't do anything unless you waive that. Yeah. A no trade clause is that you can submit a list of up to 10 teams, and basically it's these are the 10 teams that I would be okay being traded to. Anything that's not in these 10 teams, I will have serious issue with. I was always under the impression originally that if it's not on that list, you can't trade the guy. Apparently, that's not the case. Marc-Andre Fleury did not put the Blackhawks on his list for his no trade clause. He does not. He didn't want to be traded. He doesn't want to play for the Blackhawks. That's the big report, is that he will sooner retire than play for Chicago. Now that can change. Chicago has Jonathan Toews coming back. Patrick Kane is always one of the best players in the NHL.
Of course.
Seth Jones is brought there now, so now you have a good young defenseman.
Yes.
You have a nucleus.
You have DeBrincat, you have Kirby Dach, you have young pieces.
You have a core that can maybe, if they kind of work it out in a good way, can sway him to say, okay, I'll write it out for the final year of my contract and see what happens. Yeah. Maybe it works out. He's going to be 37 this year. So either way, you're probably not getting long-term goaltending from Marc-Andre Fleury.
No.
From Marc-Andre Fleury. If he chooses to play, the White Sox, like Nick said, are in a bad salary cap. Sorry. The Blackhawks are in a bad salary cap situation. But if Stan Bowman, who I'm not a big fan of, but if the Blackhawks organization views this as this was the final piece we needed to add, and if he plays, good. You got your final piece. You should have, hopefully, an improved season, but you're all in on it now. Because Marc-Andre Fleury is probably your best chance to get him to play is to say, we'll make the playoffs and we'll go on a run. That's your best chance. You can't hit him with like, we're like a year away. You're 37, have accomplished everything you could ask to accomplish in your career. You're an Olympic gold medalist, 3-time Stanley Cup winner, Vezina Trophy winner. You're probably a shoo-in for the Hall of Fame by the time you retire.
Arguably, I think he might be the best goalkeeper.
Well, this past season he was.
No, I'm saying like
I wouldn't go. Ooh, Bobby, don't say that.
I'm saying like in our lifetime.
Do we count Brodeur as still our lifetime? Because
Brodeur's in our lifetime.
I would put.
That's a tough call.
I will say that.
Okay, you're not like.
I don't think it's like way.
You're not being outrageous with that. But I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to agree with that.
Okay.
Either way, but you're getting at the very least one of the top goaltenders from the past 5 seasons.
I think he's better than Crawford.
This is an upgrade. Him and Crawford have similar career accomplishments, at least in terms of championships and whatnot. But Marc-Andre Fleury is better, mostly because he's been healthier longer. But Crawford, I was never the biggest fan of Crawford, he did a lot for the Blackhawks. And when Crawford was on his game, at the top of his game, Crawford was like a premier goalkeeper.
Crawford was good. I feel like he made more of an impact on the city. Like the city of Chicago respected Crawford more than of what he was. If you put him in a bubble with Andre Fleury, I don't really think he comes super close.
Yeah, Crawford was like an embodiment of what the Chicago Blackhawks organization loved.
Yeah,
he still had one of the best championship parade speeches ever.
Oh, for sure.
And Crawford had an immense impact on Chicago. The city of Chicago will always love the guy, but he was unfortunately someone who suffered a lot of concussions throughout his career.
Which, understandable.
And he had to retire.
Yeah.
He got a later start to his career because he wasn't Marc-Andre Fleury was the first overall pick in 2003 or 2004.
Yeah.
So this was a guy who was expected almost immediate impact. Marc-Andre Fleury was going to be your franchise-changing goaltender. Crawford had to develop a little bit more, but he still has so many career accomplishments. Marc-Andre Fleury will probably be in the Hall of Fame. Crawford will not. But I can't say Fleury is the best goaltender of our generation because I count Martin Brodeur as one of the goaltenders of our generation, even though he retired back in like 2012 or whatever. But we've been spoiled by good goaltending in the NHL. But to sum all of this up, Blackhawks have gone all in now on this upcoming season, and it is contingent on Fleury playing. If he retires, the Blackhawks are back to square zero.
Yes, I agree with that.
My fear with that is that if they have to blow it all up, we're going to have to see either Patrick Kane or Jonathan Toews, if not both, leave. And in my opinion, this may be controversial to some Hawks fans. If one of those guys has to retire with the Blackhawks and not play for another team, I would personally want it to be Patrick Kane. Personally.
So you want Toews?
If one of them was going to walk,
I agree with you.
It's not that I want one of them.
It's Patrick Kane better than Jonathan Toews, but it's just, to me, Jonathan Toews he came before Kane, so he kind of ushered Kane into
they were a year apart.
No, I know, but it's just, to me, they were so close to it's always been a duo of both of them.
They're a package deal.
It just almost seems
career,
if Toews wasn't there for Kane would have been a little bit more reckless and a little bit more crazy and not as good of a player. I think Toews was like, hey, settle down, took a little bit more of a calm side of hey, you're the big shot. I'm just here to continue in your bubble and make you play as good as you can. So that's why I don't want to see that. I don't want to see the same thing with Keith. I would never want to see Keith put on another jersey of another team. But unfortunately, he wanted to move on, so they kind of just let him do what he wanted to do. He'll probably still retire a Hawk. He'll probably come back for a day, like you were saying. I don't want to see Kane or Toews put on another jersey.
If I had to pick one or the other, I 100% going Kane.
But
I would pick Kane.
You would want Kane to stay on the team.
Yeah,
I would want Kane to go.
Yeah. So, listen, Patrick Kane's my favorite hockey player ever. He's my favorite player. Second is Nicholas Hjalmarsson. But dude, no, don't even laugh at that. Patrick Kane. The reason I would choose Kane in this situation is because in today's NHL, it's about scoring.
Yes.
And Kane is your premier scorer. Now, Jonathan Toews is a tremendous athlete in his own, but we've seen Kane now mature and develop to where I think he can. I honestly think Patrick Kane has the qualities to be a captain if Jonathan Toews ever left. Now,
I think so.
We don't even know if that would ever happen. Honestly, those two, if there are two guys who should not ever leave the Blackhawks, it's those two. If it happens, it happens. I'm just saying I would prefer Kane stay because he's more of an embodiment of what you need to develop as an offensive aspect for the NHL. Whatever, we'll see what happens. If Fleury plays for the Blackhawks,
we
can
make a run.
A huge
that
swing.
Literally,
this
that
team is going to be projected.
It's not just a huge swing for this year, but a lot of the future of the Blackhawks hinges on Fleury. Great goaltender, like we were saying, probably top 3 of our generation for sure. Super great to have mentor to whoever you want to bring in to be the next
Kevin Lankinen.
If Fleury leaves before playing this year, you're back to you don't have a sure goaltender. You have decent goaltenders, but it's not like the Crawford or the Niemi, they came in, or Scott Darling, who was like, hey, we know that we have a solid goaltender in the net.
Yeah.
Or who was that other guy? Lane. It's someone with the L.
Kevin Lankinen.
Yeah, Lankinen.
That's their new guy now.
No, not their new guy. The one that they traded to the Islanders. The season 2019 season. Trading him to the Islanders.
No, Lehner was traded to Vegas, which, that now we don't have time. I'm going to go on a rant now. Next week, I'm going on a rant. All right.
Okay.
Let me go on a rant about some things.
Go ahead, man.
And Robin Lehner is a perfect catalyst for all of that.
Oh, yeah.
But we will move on. We will leave it here. The entire outlook for this next season for the Blackhawks is contingent on Fleury playing. It is literally a 180 switch if he plays or not. So that is the impact that this move is going to have on that roster. We will leave it at that. I think it's best that we move on to Nick's question of the week after he finishes his final.
No, that's what I'm saying. My question of the week ties to a lot of what we talked about throughout this episode. talking about Simone Biles, Aaron Rodgers, and Marc-Andre Fleury. So a lot of, in sports, comparisons have been made about a potential GOAT being in the sport. Biles, LeBron James, Michael Jordan. What's your criteria for a GOAT? Do they have to do something completely transcendent like Simone Biles where she's invented new moves for gymnastics? Or does it have to be someone who has played the game for so long at such a high level? More to the aspect of Michael Phelps, so long he was in the Olympics. Michael Jordan, LeBron James played for so long. Maybe Jordan accomplished more, but LeBron James played for so long. You look at, I know Mel was mad we didn't talk about beach volleyball earlier.
Misty May Trainer,
and April Ross,
Katie Walsh Jennings, or something like that.
They played for so long. Does that make them a GOAT because they played at such a high level for so long, or do they have to do something amazing like Jordan going 6-0 in the finals?
Okay, I get what you're saying. I already have like my criteria set here, and as much as I hate to say it, you guys, are you familiar with who Colin Cowherd is? Cowherd.
Yes.
I honestly think he has a pretty good like set of criteria for what it takes to be the greatest of all time at your. I'm going to say, it's based on your individual sport. There's not one GOAT athlete that transcends the rest of the athletic world.
No, I agree with that.
You have to take it by a sport basis, in my opinion.
I think there's no.
So Colin Cowherd, I don't know I don't remember like all of the details, but it's my criteria is similar, in which I say that you have to have had sustained success where you are at the top of your game and are if not the most successful at your position or just like in your sport for more than a decade. You have to have gone through at least 2 eras of play in your sport.
Barring Olympics, where you only have
barring Olympics, in my opinion, Olympics, 3 Olympic games. 3, like Michael Phelps, the greatest Olympian of all time. I don't even think it's close. Simone Biles may be the greatest gymnast, but in terms of Olympics, I am going to say that the greatest Olympian of all time is Michael Phelps. Everything is on his side in that case. The most gold medals, the most individual medals, the most medals ever. He is the only American, and maybe even the only I can't remember if he's the only athlete, but one of 2, if anything, to ever get 8 gold medals in one Olympic game.
That's insane.
Like Michael Phelps, greatest Olympian of all time, greatest swimmer of all time. When it comes to basketball, you have to have dominated at least 2 different eras, or every other sport in this case. You have to have been at the top of the game in at least 2 different eras.
So would you count Michael Jordan in that then? I mean, he only played really super well in the 90s.
Michael Jordan is an exception to the rule because of the impact he had on the NBA. So we saw rules change for the way that teams started playing against Michael Jordan. We saw a complete swing in how everyone played the game of basketball. And his dominance in the 90s to go on 2 different three-peats and retire in the middle of them, I do think Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time in basketball. He is the only exception to the rule. Okay. And that's not because I can't say that LeBron isn't the greatest. It's not like a personal vendetta against anyone else. It's just the impact that he had specifically on the NBA speaks volumes to his career. The greatest of all time in football it's Tom Brady. Whether you like the guy or not, Tom Brady, since he came into the league, we're going on 20 plus years of
22 years.
22 years of Tom Brady. And what has he done other than win the most Super Bowls as a quarterback?
Yeah.
He's always on a winning, even when he doesn't win the Super Bowl, he always has a good team.
He's going to go down as the record holder for most career records.
Yeah.
He for a while had a season-long record for touchdown passes.
I think his biggest thing still too is last year the Patriots being bad because it showed that yes, I think a couple of his Super Bowl rings were very defensive driven. The defense kind of helped him win. But
Terry,
you can't say that when he goes to a new team, the team he was on does worse, and he wins the Super Bowl.
Yeah, we talked about Marc-Andre Fleury accomplishing everything you could want in your career. Tom Brady's done that twice.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Yeah.
7, what is it? Has he won 7 now?
Yep.
7 Super Bowls? How many people go there and how many guys that are in the Hall of Fame go their careers and don't even win 1? He's done it 7 times.
That's true.
Tom Brady, He's the greatest of all time when it comes to football. Now, football's a little trickier because of how many positions. I think you can base it on position in football.
Yeah.
But my criteria is still going to be the same.
Yeah.
You need to have the career accolades, the season-long accolades, and you have to have that sustained success from in my opinion, two different eras of that sport. There was the defense-driven and run game-driven NFL, and then there's now the passing game NFL.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean when I say two different eras. Two different styles of play have to have been like the meta, for lack of better terms.
Yeah.
What about you, Bobby? Completely dominate
honestly,
the sport, or
I honestly have to give with Andrew. It's a long-term domination of your position.
Now, would you change if there was something that completely shot, like person comes in flat, like 5 years, like absolutely dominant, completely changes the sport, flips it on its head?
I do agree.
They still need to have that continued success. They can't just be a flash in the pan.
I think it has to be continued success.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do I think Tom Brady is the GOAT? Yes. But do I think Aaron Rodgers, talent-wise, is better than him? Yes. But
yeah, and I'm going to agree with Bobby on that one. I think there's a difference between talent and being the greatest to play.
Yes.
Talent doesn't mean you're instantly the greatest.
I've always said, I think LeBron James in his prime versus Michael Jordan in his prime in a one-on-one game, I think LeBron James wins more games one-on-one against Michael Jordan. I think as a player in the NBA, you have to play with 5 teammates. I think at that point,
and as a competitor, right? There's different aspects. It's
and
more than a physical aspect.
6 straight finals wins for Jordan. It's you can't top that. And at one point, I'm going to bring the whole episode first full circle, and I'll finish my last point.
I do want to add to Bobby.
Okay, yeah, you can't. I
wanted to address your question about doing something super extraordinary.
Okay, yeah.
So before you wrap it up, there are 2 guys in the NFL that I think have legitimate cases, and that is Barry Sanders and Gale Sayers. Those are 2 guys who Gale Sayers' injuries are the reason Gale Sayers retired.
Yes.
He very 100%. Well could have been the best running back of all time if injuries never happened, right? So injuries are the reason that his career ended. His career trajectory was putting him on pace to be the best to ever do it. Barry Sanders, something compelled him to retire way too early as well. And if there's a single running back in the NFL, in the history of the NFL, that I am comfortable saying was probably going to go down as better than Walter Payton, it's Barry Sanders. In my opinion, Walter Payton will always be the greatest running back to ever play the position. Part of that, I will admit, is me being a Chicago Bears homer, and Walter Payton was like my idol growing up. But I truly believe Walter Payton is, even if I'm going to try and have some level of bias removed from this, he's a top 2 running back. Emmitt Smith may have the records. I don't think he was ever better than Walter Payton. Barry Sanders is the only running back I would feel comfortable saying was going to be better than Walter Payton.
So going to my point of how I want to wrap this up and kind of just finish, I look at a running back like Deion Sanders, who played both sides of the ball. Does he kind of
just a football player?
Yeah, as a football player, he played offense and defense, correct?
In college, he was strictly like special teams and defense.
Okay, I look at a guy like who can play multiple. Like, does that change your GOAT opinion if he can do 2 things above average, or is it better that Walter Payton completely dominated offense?
So in the case of Deion Sanders, like I said, the NFL, because there's so many positions, it is so tricky to be able to just label one guy, like one person, as the greatest of all time. Deion Sanders is probably in a lot of circles the best defensive back of all time. A factor in that is his ability on special teams, but he was a physical, freak of nature athlete, and that's a factor there. So, can I say Deion Sanders was the greatest football player to ever play? No, because I don't think you can label one guy as the best to ever play football because of how many different avenues and aspects exist within that sport.
That's what I'm saying. Like, say Deion Sanders, say a new player comes out that can play both offense and defense, and they're probably top 10 in both offensive defense. Does that easily make them the GOAT, or is it still Tom Brady has been so dominant on one side of the ball, even above and beyond that person?
They need to have the sustained success.
Okay.
Because you can say they're one of the greatest athletes, But to say they're the best of their sport, you good there?
Yeah.
To say they're the best of their sport,
you have to have
you need the sustained success. Deion Sanders, one of the best athletes of all time. In the MLB, Shohei Ohtani is showing the tools to become one of the best baseball players of all time. In baseball, I think it's a little easier to have that conversation.
Yeah, I can see that.
But football, because there are 11 positions on the field, both offense and defense, it's hard to label one guy as the best to ever do it. And if you're going to label one of them, whether love him or hate him, Tom Brady has to be the first name at your list because of everything he has accomplished in his career.
That's what,
I agree with you there.
To me, wrapping it up, you started the whole GOAT thing as in, it's not just it can't be a GOAT or like one athlete or particular sport because there's so many different ones.
Mm-hmm.
After watching the triathlon yesterday, I would change my position to the greatest athletes in sports in general are anyone who does a triathlon or any sport that requires multiple things at once. Because
versatility, I can understand that.
You're going out and doing a regular triathlon is still impressive to run, bike, and swim. If you're competing in the Olympics and winning a gold medal, being arguably the best swimmer, biker, and runner in a field
of people who specialize
in all three
training
of those sports,
for all three of those,
I look at that as it's hard to say football players are better than baseball players. Hitting baseball is the hardest thing. Sure, you want to say that. I would argue that the greatest athletes of all time could easily be triathletes. The simple fact is you can't be average if you suck at swimming, you lost.
Yeah.
If you suck at
biking, you need to be above average in all of them.
Yeah.
So I understand your context there, and I get what you're saying, and there's definitely a point there.
Not technical skill. I'm just saying pure athleticism. Yeah. They might not be able to jump super high and dunk the basketball, but I mean I put them up athletically as the top of my sport. And I know I'm a little biased being a runner, but
that's respectable.
It's hard to be good at multiple sports. It's almost impossible to be great at three sports, and I think that's what triathletes are able to accomplish, and especially competing at the Olympic level. So that's just where I wanted to end it.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great way to kind of bring it full circle there. I'm going to be honest. This might have been my favorite episode to record.
Yeah.
I know we ran pretty long. We're going
almost 2 hours. Yeah.
We went pretty long today. And we appreciate you guys.
Watch the first hour. Turn it off. Watch the second hour.
Yeah, we appreciate you. We appreciate you guys sticking with us and engaging with us and everything. I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation this week. I felt like this was a fun one to talk about.
Yes,
I love when there's a lot going on in sports. You can see clearly, we're passionate. We could talk about this stuff forever. But we'll wrap it up here. We'll save. I got my good rant coming next week. We'll prepare for it. But as always, guys, thank you for tuning in this week. If you like what you heard, please give us a like and follow on Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube. Follow us on Twitter at GTS Podcast 1. Our email is gtspodcast1@gmail.com. If you choose to submit some fan mail or anything,
please. Andrew always checks, man.
Yeah, I got the alerts on for that email. But as always, guys, thank you again for tuning in. And we'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, I just want to get, before we end it, one shout out. Check out the other ASAP sport. I know we're on a break right now from ASAP, but check out some of the other things. I've watched a couple. They got great things to talk about. I think everyone on the ASAP network kind of handles.
Yeah, we haven't shouted them out in a while. Seriously, guys, give the ASAP network a like and follow. Look at some of the different shows on there.
They do,
because
it brings a different aspect.
It covers like everything.
Yeah, you can listen to us just talk about it, but there's different aspects in different sports that people have real.
I always feel that the best way to inform yourself on whatever you choose to inform yourself on is multiple opinions and perspectives. And you could definitely get that through the ASAP network. A lot of different ways of looking at the same stories on there. So please, guys, give them a follow as well. But like I said, thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to talking to you next week.
See you guys.